All right, here we go again. Buckle up. So, again, some of this could be metaphysical, and that's fine. It's still them. But it looks like they're running a physical psyop, and they try. I don't know how many people were treated that way on X. Could be like 10, 20 other supporters of Trump that aren't the chosen ones that the deep state allows to exist because they're not really real to the point that, you know, that they're going to go anywhere other than where they're told to go based upon deep state having to go after the fall people or something like that. But I did grab a couple screen grabs. It appears that was the chief of staff is being put in behind the curtain. It's all subliminal messaging. Here, I'll go put the screen grab up. So there's probably a bunch of people that had something happen on X. See, behind the curtain. Most powerful woman in Washington finally breaks her silence on X platform. Look at the photo. When you click through, it's a whole different thing. And again, this particular screen grab may not exist on many computers. Again, PSYOP is such a thing. In other words, they create a title and a screen grab to show me. I've suspected that about X, or not X, about Fox for years. We all know that they hack phones and things like that. Well, they don't get busted now because they pay people. They didn't pay enough people back then. That's how billionaires work. They don't stop. They just figure out how to pay the right people to engage in the criminal activity that they want to engage in. It's that simple. Find additional pieces of shit to sell out. But this is a ding, at least metaphysically, and it could be physically, for me to not help the Trump campaign. And look who they used. This campaign. Breaks her son. When I click through, it's a completely different news article. I mean, it's the same thing, but whole different ball game there. Let me click through on this one, see if I get a screen grab from that. It's, I think, Lara Trump when I click through. And all smiles and yeah, it's Lara Trump when I click through, and it says Trump's behind the scenes enforcer pulls back the curtain in rare public move. That one even I don't even know if did it actually say that last time? I can't remember. I read this one. Trump's top aide says she welcomes different viewpoints and will share insights and information. Right. So that's Lisa Metaphysic hitting. I mean, she looks kind of like a jerk there. Fox has been known to do that. I told you about that last go around when you were, was it 45? It's not the only one. X platform. Why does it say X platform? Behind the curtain on X platform. They're not testing anybody. Don't let them tell you they're testing someone. Again, that's how the shooter was probably created. A bunch of that. Could have been people in his hometown, Torrance or whatever it is, wouldn't let him have a normal life, wouldn't have a girlfriend, wouldn't have this, can't go there without being harassed. And then they focus him on Trump. Trump's doing it to you. Trump's doing it to you. So there's one with Bongino. Like, who do you think's a bigger target, Bongino or me? Obviously me. The chances, it's like I said it about Trump. I said it about Biden. I said it about a couple of different people. So the chances, and I said it about, what's his name? Alex Alex Jones or whatever his name is. He's going to be a billionaire. I mean, a multimillionaire at least, and nobody's going to let him go anywhere. So again, they really don't have nothing. Bongino doesn't have anything to worry about. There's so many targets ahead of him, even in the Trump administration. Well, it's not on the headline, but if you go and read it, it's like, yeah, right. You're not a big target. It's all drama. You're a target, but we're all targets. They're more worried about Nick Shirley than they are Bongino. Because we hit them hard with that one. That's their money. That's their corrupt money. It's what they fund a lot of things, including the deep state, with. The PSYOP. How do you think they pay for the PSYOP? All that corruption. That's definitely designed to get my goat. Oh, actually, hang on. Let me move it over because you don't see it. There. It was on standby. I didn't see that. So again, Nick Shirley is actually a bigger target than Bongino. Now, I mean, of course, he can't go out and he can't commit like tax fraud or anything. They'll rescue him. He'll be like a Comey, but just don't 86 or something like that. I don't know what the case is. The acting attorney general, he's hinting, but he's not clear enough for me to believe, or I wouldn't say believe, for me to know that they have other stuff. Because he doesn't say that there's other evidence. And maybe he just, they're blocking him from saying it and he doesn't know it. He says it's a whole investigation they've been investigating for a year. Which means there might be a pattern, a behavior pattern, might be an informant. He does have a lot of judges on his side. Well, because he's part of a world that says you don't prosecute us. And some of the judges are part of that world. Now, it's definitely designed for people that are, being effed off to think that, especially on X, to think that it was Wiles. It's not a good photo. Now, when you click through and you get to Lara, there's a little bit less of that edge and energy, but I think their hope was that they won't click through. So there could be another 100 people that had their X accounts stalked and destroyed. They maybe helps to the administration. Can't trust Fox News for nothing. I'm just telling you. That's like spies. Hire Lara Trump and then manipulate it, Meanwhile, they're getting invitations to Mar-a-Lago and laughing about it. Can't trust a spy, believe me. So again, it looks like the PSYOPs are starting up. The one with Bongino, it was in my news feed. It was different, but it's there also. It was worded different in the news feed. So that's part of their thing. Well, you're not going to take the Shell 8645 and really get anywhere with it, I believe, unless you have supporting evidence that says, look what he said over here, look what he wrote over here. He said this to that person. He said that to that person. You might even be able to bring in things from the investigation, the Mueller and all that. I mean, if Comey was in any way part of that, and if he made certain statements. I mean, you can't prosecute. He may have said somebody, well, I hope somebody takes him out, or maybe we could find a sniper somewhere, or whatever he would have said. If there's evidence like that, that'll help make the case. If you show a pattern from uh, when he was in the government or something like that, and that would definitely make the case. So I don't know how what Comey says, and as I said, well, I knew he was on the star detail, and he was down the end of a hallway once in the U.S. Attorney's office in Baltimore. That's about it. Actually, then I didn't know who he was. I just knew he was the DAG. So I researched who the DAG was. I was like, who was in that? Who was that? And I looked, and it was Comey. Because the DAG was looking into Luna's death, so that it doesn't give you a warm and fuzzy to know that the person that was looking into Luna's death was Comey. That's maybe why he was director. Payback for covering that up. And I'm not joking. It's how it works. Protected the CIA murderers. So again, it is what it is. But yeah, they're going for Wiles and trying to make people angry at her. So they'll plus. So they did it to Tucker, but Tucker's big money, and he's going to go, what he thinks is best for him, irregardless. So they may have applied pressure to them. I mean, I have had pressure applied to me for at least a year or more, as far as this go round. Actually, probably at a year and a half, maybe. I'll just attack Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi. Right. So needless to say, it didn't work. And that's not why I got mad at Trump. I mean, it was like 3 years of shit from his administration. I see you got what's his name in there. I was wondering where he was. Valo, whatever it is. What was that guy's name? The guy that was, I think was he chief of Border Patrol or acting chief? He's in CBP, I think. He might be chief of CBP. Ronald Vitello. Yeah, I was wondering where he was. What is he, deputy? Well, he knows what he's doing, I think. Well, he said from out here, he looked like he did. But a psyop, that's still a lot of stress on people. Right. Oh, so he's acting deputy commissioner of CBP. Right. So you got to understand, people are having psyop hit them all day long, and that again, when it comes to Alex Jones and Carlson, they got stuff in their history, and if they believe about them doing something like fudging their taxes or whatever, and it's still within prosecution, they're gonna shift. Or like I said, they're old enough to be in the time period where people weren't as careful about what they said and what they did sexually. Right. the whole thing is they try to act like it's about uh, what's his name? Bavino. They screwed me around. They got me off of X. He's on X. I can't even communicate. I think that's part of why they did it too. I can't communicate with Bavino. He's not on Facebook now. At least I can't find him. But they act like it's about Bavino. So again, Mullen and people in I alluded to this before, and people in it, they just shouldn't say anything because it wasn't about Noam, it wasn't about Pam Bondi, it wasn't about Bavino, it's not about Lyons, because the psychological operation and the spy craft, lethal combat level, even though you survived it, it's not the same right now. So don't give in now just because it's not there, because if they use it against Mullen, they're going, oh, Mullen was okay, but now he screwed up. See what's going on? That's Mullen's fault. See, it's a scam. There is no magic that Mullen applied. It's very expensive and very difficult to run a PSYOP that large, and with elections coming up. They may hold off on the street fighting a little bit until the election comes up. Till after the election, say, oh, we're not like that. We don't riot, see? Right. And then come, 3 days after the election, they're sitting at your ICE facility with sniper rifles trying to kill your people. So again, be careful of that trap to badmouth prior directors and secretaries and things. Unless it's Comey. I don't get, I'd like to see the case. If there's nothing there's no reason to go after Comey more than you did. I mean, they ruined it by trying to do it so fast. You have to sit back. And again, you sat back a little bit and we'll see what you have. But, a pattern of behavior, again, it wouldn't be perfect. Unless, I don't know, again, I don't know. He may have had a conversation with someone he trusted. They may have been wearing a wire. I don't know. Because again, people in the government have committed crimes. There may be somebody that actually was in on the operation that murdered Jonathan Luna, whether it was psychological or physical, and you found out about that and you pressured that person into what? Wearing a wire on Comey. Somebody he trusts, because they're both dirty, Dirty people trust dirty people generally. So they got the goods on each other. All right. So yeah, it's a mean lady photo. That's not a good one for the elections, especially with breaks our silence on X platform. No reason to say X. And when you click through, they don't really say much there. So again, they're setting me up to not help you. I've been doing that for a while, so I don't think that's the first time. Again, I think they also wanted me to get pissed off on Bongino, because the reality is I was much better online when I first started because I hadn't been beat up so bad. But they tortured me for decades, but really increased it at a certain point, and probably drugged me in. And they know I said this. I went online with a law enforcement kind of right, leaning right thing right before they put Bongino in. That's how they operate. They're narcissists and sociopaths. So then they started the Bongino podcast while destroying mine. That's also a PSYOP. So again, that's what it looks like out here. I don't know. He blocked me one time, Bongino. I don't even know what I said. Must have been something a little lefty. But, as far as being a target, there's a lot of people before him, including myself. No, I supported Trump while people in his administration attacked me for like 3 years, and finally I said that's it. And I waited for him to be out of office to really go against him. Right. I try not to attack sitting presidents all that much. There's definitely, I mean, there's psyops there 24/7 whenever they can. I read my news and they'll throw certain headlines in. Again, some of it's metaphysical also. They know they have the witchcraft capability to put a psyop on someone's life. Just from witchcraft. Yeah, it's definitely not as warm. I don't know. For some reason, I thought it was just as warm out here as it was in Kansas and Oklahoma, but it's not. The actual summer period is much shorter. Much shorter. Like even when it warms up, it's not as hot. Like right now, it's probably hot, unless it's maybe cooled across the country. I don't know. Don't listen to them about the bullshit. All you do is let me live my life, and I'd have been a healthy person. I still would have had disability, but not at the level that I have it. Their goal, they targeted, they even probably used doctors. They targeted my disability to increase it and what I was doing to keep my disability in check. And that includes my hearing also. My hearing would also be better because the tightness actually caused a lot of the issues along with everything else. But again, that's the Persian Gulf thing. I'm just more descriptive about it than people are, or maybe more knowledgeable. Again, at times I didn't even remember what was causing what. And that's what they did. And some of it's just plain old witchcraft. So again, when it comes to Eliana Alaya, she didn't catch the cancer early enough, most likely. I don't think, yeah. And that's them. Believe me. They were attacking her life, there's no doubt. You can share her stuff on Facebook now, but you couldn't before. They had her listed as like a white supremacist or some shit. I'm not lying. Of all people. Some of the, the Palestinian people, or not the people, but the libtards, because she supported, Israel and didn't quite enjoy the activity of Palestinian terrorists. But that's back even like 2016, before it became a bigger issue. So again, they were going after her. I guess now she has cancer, they're laying back a little bit. It's out of character for them, I guess, to a certain degree. When I saw that they had blocked her video, and it was the one with Yeshua, the one I just showed you yesterday, or I posted yesterday. It isn't like a hardline Jewish one either. It's actually critical of Jerusalem. They got paid. All of them got paid. They did this to me. I'm sure of it. Now some of them are deported, but for the moment, they were living a good life. Right. No, it may be the election. The lull may be for the election. So they don't look as radicalized or extremist. They're still deporting people. They actually even shot a couple more. I mean, I don't know. I mean, law enforcement involves that aspect of it. when you have a certain opposition. I was reading an article the other day. They brought up, where, what's his name? Was it Ross? I think Officer Ross is at. And I'm thinking when they presented it, it was just like, the whole lefty side of the story. Like she never tried to run anybody over. That's a psychopath, all of you. Yeah, you do have to look at the latest shooter to see if they shut down his life. I know you want to just hate on him because he's a shooter, but see if they shut down his life. See if you can see evidence that maybe something was blocking him from moving into a normal life. So that he has something he would lose that he valued beyond, what he values now. No, it's all science. It just, Hashem rules it. So the woman that was cleaning my house, I thought she was a single woman. She explained to me she's recently had a falling out with a boyfriend, and we weren't being like wanting to be romantic. I said, well, maybe we should just talk once I get to where I was going. And then she said something about her kids, and I love kids. I love to mentor kids because I can make super kids out of regular kids. But it just wouldn't be worth it. It'd wreck her life probably. I mean, if she was strong enough, and I don't expect any of them to be strong enough because they'll just go in and say, "We'll take your kids." That's how crooked they are, and then offer her something like an informant amount of money. Put her on the payroll. Put her on the deep state payroll. Now, the police officers, law enforcement officers, as well as everybody else that was part of it in Kansas are murderers. And no, they're not killing the right person to kill, quote unquote. And no, it wasn't an oops. They're cold-blooded murderers. They're psychopathic narcissists. And their end will be in hell. Fine, Earth. If you want to play a game where we can't take care of it here and fix it here, and again, I use that term Earth loosely. It's a hellish planet. Then God will rule it. And you'll all move off to hell in the afterlife. It would have been better to take care of it here. I'll just tell you that. So from when Yeshua ben David is here, the guy they call Jesus, till now, there's been there's been voluminous changes in the metaphysics, where a person is less culpable for their sin than when they were when Yeshua was here. So when Yeshua is here, he reduces the culpability for sin through several things that he said. It's not just believe in me and you shall be saved. There's a lot more to it, a whole science to it, of how it's happening and why it's happening. And that includes also his people, his quote unquote disciples. But you have to understand, Satan won't let anything else arrive. Why? Because it continued on. The innocence increased. And Rabbi Saul said it, which you all call Paul. And he said that when grace abounds, or when evil abounds, grace abounds that much more. So the more the possession of the mind occurs, the more grace that exists, more forgiveness. But many are possessors, owners of other people. Owning the mind of another person is what they obsess over. And that's what these psyops are about. Mean Girl Wiles there. So that's that. Just be cognizant that the psyops out there, you might want to address it head on. Say, we know there's people out there, angering you in our name, lying about who we are and what we're doing. Just stay the course. You're gonna have to do something about the oil. I mean, you killed me. I can't see as good as I could. So I'm thinking the only thing I can think is Venezuela, but I guess you're tapped out down there, I imagine. I would check to see if you can boost production in Venezuela. And the question is it price gouging to a certain degree? Well, you need to move oil. I don't know why you're waiting on Iran. Could be a military reason, could be a political reason, could be a ton of reasons. Strategic, tactical, all of the above. Again, the Democrats really did support Iran too much. And it did make it difficult to topple that regime as far as that death knell, that last piece of process. And so did the European leaders. So they're all suspects in the global intelligence state. So it got a little crazy at the correspondents' dinner, but, not a big deal. It was handled. You didn't make it in there, and that's what it's designed to do. If you want pretty, then, go to the Miss America pageant. Pretty doesn't always happen in law enforcement. Pretty doesn't always happen in the military. That's why we have contingency plans. That's why we train with contingency plans, and we train with changing environments, changing scenarios, so that the mind develops that, what do we do next? Bottom line is, they were tasked with keeping everybody safe, and they did. All the rest is just bullshit. All that media stuff, that's bullshit. Propaganda, bullshit, you name it. Anything but the truth. Then in the end, they go, well, it's political. Well, no, it doesn't work. So they tried. That was short-lived. I think it was killed. The thing where it's where it was a false flag, and it was to get the ballroom going. That's how they fight the ballroom. Oh no, you set that up. No doubt Trump would not want a false flag at the correspondents' dinner, because he didn't want to leave. You see him say, well, just I'll ignore it. It'll go away. Well, it's like a girl, and I'm not trying to say Trump's a girl, but it's like a girl at a sweet 16 and something goes wrong. No! Or a marriage, a young couple trying to get married, and their wedding cake falls off the truck. So again, there's no reason for Trump to have wanted a false flag there. He could have put it somewhere else. But there is a possibility that the person was operated. And again, if they shut down your life, all the general radicalization and extremism will hit you more so. Right? That's why you have to stay focused on, like I do the religious stuff. I do Hashem. It's not religious, it's just spiritual, but I do all that. That keeps the focus. I'm still fighting a spy war while all of you rolled over and let it happen. Not only in my life, life of other people. Spies aren't fighting a spy war. They're playing a game. Right. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.